Hello, everyone. This is episode 3 of Set It Straight with Doc Bots. Dr. Tom Bottiglieri from New York Presbyterian Hospital will be joining us in just a bit to talk about social distancing, which is a big general topic of a discussion for COVID-19 and the coronavirus. My name is Todd Bivona with Gotham Trinity Productions. I'll be your host alongside my co-host, Michael Graziuso, also a partner with Gotham Trinity Productions. Now, Mike, one thing about social distancing, it gets tough for us, right?
Right.
Italian guys, handshakes, hugs, kiss to the family. I mean, we're totally out of our social norms here, right?
Yeah. No, it's hard. It's hard. How do you walk up to somebody and end a business decision or end something, and it's like, they want to. I don't even want to give the chicken wing or the hopscotch. Did you see the skipping? People are trying to kick you and
just give the feet, give a little foot a foot tap and say, oh, great doing business with you. See you next week, or catch on that conference call. And what are you playing, soccer? Or football, the American the international game that is. So so we're being told 6 feet apart, but social distancing is important. But this has an impact on social norms. So let's bring in Dr. Bottiglieri right now and talk to him about the importance of social distancing at a very basic level, but also the implications post a corona world and how this might change the game a little bit, Doc, right?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a social impact of this whole thing, especially for us people who like to hug one another. And it can be awkward. There's that moment where you see somebody and you're used to greeting them in a certain way. So I think if we think about the emotional impact that this is having on us, this sort of, I don't know, there feels like an air of suspicion in the air. As you're walking down the sidewalk, you see people cross the street and walk away from each other, but we know we're not being rude. Everybody's in this together. So it's going to be a while before things are normal again. And I think we have to just respect the fact that we're all doing this at the same time, and whatever the social implications are, it's kind of like the social media thing. We had to figure that out on the fly, so we'll figure this out. I think everybody will get used to this as a new normal.
And it's still so strange. Well, obviously now we're doing social distancing by not going out, right? We're staying quarantined in our homes. We are each in one of our homes. You're in an office. I'm in a spare room. We're not going out. We're not congregating. The past episode, we talked about the supermarket. What's best advice for going out and doing the social distancing? Some stores, have you noticed, Doc, they've been putting tape down where you can and cannot stand and whatnot. I mean, if we're all wearing masks, we should be okay? Or should we be concerned? Like if we're in the same aisle, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to another aisle. Like I've seen people completely go, like, I'm not going up the aisle because I see someone at the end of the aisle. Yeah. Is that a true concern? At some point, do you think they're going to shut down everything for a week or two because you need to just not have any contact with anyone?
That's a good question. The reality is we don't know how long this is going to last. And so how much longer can we go on the way we're going on right now?
So there's a flattening of the curve. We're seeing the hospital admissions are starting to come down. The death rate is still pretty high, which is unfortunate. But the reality is we may be starting to see the peak of this thing right now during this week. So hopefully if it took us 3 weeks to get here, and God willing, another 3 weeks, we'll start to see this thing starting to head back down to a level that's controlled.
Yeah. Right. So again, this is we're talking about social distancing. Mike, I know you've been practicing it. I know usually you take your dog out, going to the park, but you haven't been doing that. You're doing your own path and whatnot. I've been going on my own path, just trying to be smart, right? And then quarantining. I mean, do we find we're going to be quarantined specifically? Because we got to be careful, right, Doc? Because just because the curve's coming down, even though there are, 50 new cases reported or something, we're still going to have to be careful, correct?
Yeah, when you look at that map, you realize that this thing is relatively ubiquitous, meaning it's everywhere. And so we don't know what this is going to become. Is this going to be like the seasonal flu, where every year we're worried about the new coronavirus and we have to get a corona vaccine, the same way we get a flu vaccine, and nobody really knows what the long term is on this thing. And even if we start to see the numbers coming back down, and 3 weeks from now we're at a number of cases that's really well controlled, that doesn't mean it's over. It's still out there. It's still in the world, and unfortunately, the virus is still going to be as deadly as it is right now, and we're going to still have to protect people. So the antibody test is going to answer a lot of the questions we don't have answers to right now. Once we have an antibody test that's available, we can know who's actually been exposed, who's not been exposed. and then we'll have a better idea of what the actual risk is to people in geographic areas. If it turns out that there's a lot of people walking around immune, that would suggest more people were exposed to it than we even thought, and that might be encouraging. So we really don't know what people talk about the denominator, right? What's the number on the bottom? We know how many people are really sick, but we don't really know people with mild cases or asymptomatic cases.
Correct. So that complicates the situation even more. That's why this is a fluid conversation, and that's why we're doing this, to get the word out there of the facts of what's really out there, what's going on, and how to prepare. You bring up two good points that we're going to touch in upcoming episodes. One is a cure and what that means, and the implications of who's been developing that core and how we're going to release that to the general public. But also the different strands, and I think that's a whole other episode in itself. How this could mutate throughout the summer months. Could it mutate again in the fall months? And then could we see this again in the wintertime? So, Doc, thanks so much for the time talking about social distancing today on Set It Straight with Doc Botts. Doc Botts, always appreciate the time. For Gotham Trinity Productions, this has been episode 3. Thanks for joining us.